Ethan had never expected to stand in the middle of a palace unlike any human building he had ever seen. The walls shimmered with colors that shifted as he moved, and strange crystal chandeliers floated in the air, casting soft light across the enormous room. He could hear faint whispers echoing in the vast hall, as if the palace itself were alive. Every step he took seemed to vibrate with the energy of the place, a hum that resonated deep in his chest. At the far end of the hall, a figure sat upon a throne carved from what looked like black stone mixed with living vines. She was tall, regal, and radiated authority. Her eyes, sharp and piercing, studied Ethan as if she could see into the very core of his being. This was Queen Lyria, ruler of Velira, a planet Ethan had only heard about in rumors and classified reports. Humans were rare here, and their presence was usually considered a curiosity or a threat. Ethan's boots echoed as he stepped forward, his hand resting near the sidearm at his hip. He knew better than to act nervous, but the grandeur of the throne room and the weight of the queen's gaze made his chest tighten. "You have arrived," the queen's voice rang, calm yet commanding. "Humans are not common here, yet here you stand. I have summoned you for a matter of great importance, one that will test your judgment, your character, and your understanding of responsibility." Ethan nodded, keeping his voice steady. "I am ready to serve your majesty." The queen's lips curved into a faint smile. "Good, then you will meet them." At her command, 3 women appeared from behind tall, flowing curtains. Each moved with a grace that was almost inhuman. They stopped a few meters in front of Ethan, standing in perfect alignment. The first woman, Kara, was a warrior. Her muscular build and confident posture spoke of years of combat training. Her eyes, sharp and unyielding, studied Ethan with a challenging glare. She carried no visible weapons, but the tension in her body hinted at lethal skill. She exuded strength and daring, and Ethan could feel her energy like a live wire. The second woman, Selene, was different. Her movements were precise, deliberate, and her eyes sparkled with intelligence. She seemed to analyze every detail of the room, of Ethan, and even of Kara. There was a calm confidence in her demeanor, and the subtle smile on her lips suggested that she was used to winning arguments or battles of wit. The third, Elira, was the youngest. Her eyes were soft, almost too gentle to be real in a world like this. Her presence seemed to pull at the air itself, as if the room became quieter when she was near. Ethan could feel warmth and curiosity radiating from her. She seemed connected to everything around her, sensing emotions and intentions with an almost mystical awareness. The queen's voice cut through Ethan's thoughts. "These 3 women are candidates for a role you may not fully understand. You will choose one as your wife. Your choice is not about desire alone. It is about judgment, understanding, and the future of this planet's alliance with your species." Ethan blinked. His mind reeled. "A wife, your majesty." "Yes," Lyria said. "You will spend time with each. Observe, understand their strengths, their minds, and their hearts. Only then will you make your choice. But beware, choosing incorrectly can bring consequences that neither you nor this planet can undo." Ethan swallowed. This was more than a personal decision. This was a test that could affect lives, entire societies, and perhaps even the fragile peace between humans and Velirans. The queen waved her hand, and the 3 women stepped closer. Kara spoke first. "If this is a test of strength, know that I will not be defeated. I have fought battles humans cannot imagine, and I have never lost." Selene's voice was softer but confident. "Strength alone does not win wars, human. Strategy, intelligence, and foresight determine outcomes. If you value your life and your mission, you must choose wisely." Elira's tone was gentle, almost musical. "And yet strength and intelligence alone cannot guide hearts. Sometimes understanding, empathy, and connection matter more than power." Ethan felt a strange mix of awe and pressure. Each woman represented a different path, a different type of partnership. Kara, the warrior, promised courage and fearless action. Selene, the strategist, offered wisdom and cleverness. Elira, the empath, suggested harmony and understanding. The queen watched him silently, letting the weight of the decision settle on his shoulders. Ethan could feel the tension in the air. This was more than a personal choice. It was a test of his character, and the eyes of an entire civilization were on him. Over the next several hours, Ethan spent time with each woman. Kara took him to the training grounds, where she demonstrated combat skills that were beyond human limits. They sparred with energy weapons and blades, and though Ethan held his own, he quickly realized how formidable she was. She pushed him to his limits, challenging him physically and mentally. Yet, as impressive as she was, he noticed that her confidence sometimes bordered on recklessness. Selene, on the other hand, led him to the council chambers, where she presented simulations of political and military scenarios. Her mind was sharp, calculating, and precise. Ethan debated with her, sometimes agreeing, sometimes challenging her conclusions. Each discussion revealed layers of intelligence and insight that Ethan found fascinating. Yet Selene's demeanor was cold at times, and he wondered if her heart would ever truly align with another being's. Elira was different. She guided him through the gardens of the palace, a sprawling network of bioluminescent plants and streams of glowing water. She spoke little at first, allowing Ethan to notice the subtle shifts in the environment, how the plants responded to emotions, how the air seemed to carry feelings as if it were alive. As they walked, Ethan shared stories of Earth, of humans, of struggles and victories. Elira listened, never interrupting, and Ethan realized she was not just hearing him. She was understanding him, sensing his emotions, his doubts, and even his fears. Days passed, and Ethan struggled with his decision. Each woman had qualities that fascinated and challenged him. Kara's strength inspired him, Selene's intelligence intrigued him, and Elira's empathy drew him in. He realized that this choice could not be made lightly. It was not about who he desired most, but who would be the right partner for the responsibilities he might inherit. One evening, while Ethan sat alone in the observation tower, he reflected on the experiences of the past days. He could see the sprawling city of Velira below, its lights twinkling like stars on the ground. He thought of Kara's fearless determination, Selene's calculated wisdom, and Elira's gentle understanding. He realized something important. The test was not just about choosing a partner. It was about understanding what kind of leader, ally, and human he wanted to be. The Queen's demand was a mirror, reflecting his values back at him. The next morning, the Queen summoned him again. Ethan's heart raced as he entered the throne room. The three women were there, their expressions unreadable. Kara's eyes burned with challenge, Selene's gaze was calm and sharp, and Elira's look was filled with quiet curiosity. "You have spent time with each," the Queen said. "Now you must make your choice. Speak carefully, human. The eyes of Velira and your own people are upon you." Ethan took a deep breath, steadying himself. He knew this was not a decision to be made in haste. He looked at Kara, recalling the fires of the training grounds. He looked at Selene, remembering the intricate strategies and discussions. Finally, he looked at Elira, feeling the warmth and understanding that had guided him through the palace gardens. He opened his mouth to speak, but the Queen raised a hand. "Before you choose, understand this. Each of these women is capable of greatness. Each could shape the future in ways you may not yet comprehend. The wrong choice could have consequences beyond your imagination." Ethan nodded, understanding fully. This was a test not just of judgment but of perception. He realized that Kara's strength alone could inspire courage but lacked balance, that Selene's intellect could guide strategy but might miss the human element, and that Elira's empathy could unite and heal in ways neither strength nor intellect could achieve alone. With steady eyes he spoke. "I choose Elira. Her understanding, her connection to this world and its people, her empathy, these are what I believe will guide us best. Not just for me, but for all of us." The room fell silent. Kara's jaw tightened, Seleni's eyes flickered with surprise, and Elira's lips curved into a soft, genuine smile. The queen leaned forward, her expression unreadable for a moment, then she nodded. "You have chosen wisely, human," she said. "Not because this is an easy choice, but because you see beyond appearances. You understand that true strength lies not only in battle or in intellect, but in connection, compassion, and understanding." A murmur ran through the throne room as attendants and advisors reacted to the choice. Ethan felt a weight lift from his shoulders, yet he knew the journey was far from over. Choosing Elira was only the beginning. Together, they would face challenges, political intrigue, and threats that neither could yet imagine. As Ethan and Elira left the throne room, he realized that the Queen's test had taught him more than he could have anticipated. It had tested his courage, his wisdom, and his heart. And now, with Elira by his side, he felt a new sense of purpose, a sense that together they could change the future, not just for themselves, but for both humans and Valyrians alike. And so, the first chapter of their story ended, not with a celebration, but with the quiet understanding that this choice was only the beginning of a journey that would test everything they believed about loyalty, love, and the bonds that could unite worlds. Ethan and Elira walked side by side through the palace corridors, their steps echoing softly against the polished floors. The weight of the Queen's test still lingered in the air, but a sense of calm settled over them. Elira's hand brushed lightly against his, a gesture so small yet filled with warmth and understanding. It was a connection that neither strength nor intellect could create, but one that promised trust and partnership. "Do you ever get tired of being watched?" Ethan asked, his voice low. "Every move we make, every word we say," Elira smiled faintly. "It is part of my world," she said. "I have learned to move with it, to understand it, but with you, it feels different. Not like scrutiny, but like possibility." Ethan looked at her, realizing that her words were more than comfort. They were a reminder of why he had chosen her. Not just for her empathy, but for the way she made him feel seen, even in a world that seemed designed to judge every action. Their quiet moment was broken as an alarm echoed through the palace. Red lights flashed along the walls and the soft hum of energy shifted into a tense vibration. Ethan immediately tensed, instincts kicking in. "What is happening?" he asked. Elira's eyes darkened. "Trouble. A faction in the palace has not accepted the Queen's decision. They intend to use this moment to create chaos, perhaps even attempt to remove me from this position. We must move quickly." Ethan's hand went to his sidearm. "Lead the way." They ran through winding corridors, their movements synchronized. Elira's knowledge of the palace layout was extraordinary, and Ethan followed her without hesitation. They arrived at a chamber where the three women from the Queen's test were already gathered, but tension was thick in the air. Kara's jaw was set, her posture defensive, while Seleni's expression was calculating. "You knew this would happen," Kara said, her voice sharp. "Didn't you?" Elira shook her head. "I did not anticipate the timing. But yes, this is the danger we face. We must act carefully." "Ethan, stay close." Ethan nodded, scanning the room. The chamber's doors shuddered as unseen forces tried to breach them. He realized that this was no simple political squabble. This was an attack designed to destabilize the Queen's rule and force a human into a pawn position. Selene stepped forward, her usual calm replaced with determination. "If we are to defend ourselves, we must combine our skills. Kara, you lead the physical defense. Elira, you guide us through the safest paths. Ethan, you protect her." Ethan's heart pounded. "Understood." Kara moved with precision, positioning herself near the entrance. Ethan followed Elira, keeping close. They moved through secret passages, avoiding the forces attempting to storm the palace. Elira's connection to the palace and its inhabitants was extraordinary. She seemed to sense the movements of the attackers before they acted. As they turned a corner, a group of armored guards appeared, their intentions clear. Kara met them head-on, her combat skills a blur of motion. Ethan joined the fight, relying on his own training, and together they pushed the intruders back. The clash was intense, but Ethan realized something crucial. Kara's strength, while formidable, worked best when guided and focused. Without strategy, raw power alone was not enough. Meanwhile, Selene used her intellect to manipulate energy controls, sealing doors and redirecting corridors, creating barriers that slowed the attackers. Ethan marveled at how her calm mind and precision complemented Kara's power and Elira's intuition. Together, they formed a team stronger than any single individual could be. After what felt like hours, they reached a secure room. Elira exhaled, a faint smile appearing on her face despite the tension. "We are safe for now," she said, "but the threat is far from over. They will not stop until the Queen's authority is undermined, or until I am removed entirely." Ethan looked at her, admiration mixing with concern. "Why target you? Why now?" Elira's gaze drifted toward the glowing windows, watching the city below. "Because I represent more than myself. The Queen's decision to allow a human to choose a partner among us symbolizes a new alliance. That alliance threatens those who cling to old power structures, old prejudices. They want control, and they will stop at nothing to get it." Ethan clenched his fists. "Then we stop them." Elira nodded, her hand brushing against his once more. "Yes, but not recklessly. Strength, strategy, and understanding must guide us. This is more than a fight. It is a test of our ability to protect each other and the future we hope to build." Over the next several days, Ethan and Elira worked closely together. They moved through the palace, addressing threats, uncovering plots, and building trust with key advisors. Ethan found himself learning more than he had ever expected about Velira, the people, the politics, and the delicate balance that held the planet together. Through it all, Elira's empathy guided him. She could sense hesitation, fear, and dishonesty, and her guidance helped him navigate a world that was alien in every sense. Ethan began to understand why he had chosen her. Not because she was the easiest or the most powerful choice, but because she brought clarity, balance, and humanity to a world that could easily forget both. One evening, after another long day of planning and defense, Ethan and Elira stood on a balcony overlooking the city. The lights shimmered like stars, and the distant sounds of life reminded them that despite danger, the world continued. "You know," Ethan said, his voice soft, "I thought this would be simple. Choose a partner, follow the Queen's command. I never imagined it would be like this, facing political intrigue, hidden enemies, and real danger." Elira smiled faintly. "Life is rarely simple, Ethan, especially when it involves change. But change is necessary, and sometimes that change requires courage, trust, and unity." Ethan looked at her, feeling the truth of her words resonate within him. He realized that his choice was validated not by ease or comfort, but by the ability to face challenges together. Strength, intelligence, and empathy were not separate. They were interconnected, and their combined force could overcome obstacles far greater than either could face alone. The following day brought a final confrontation. The rival faction, desperate and reckless, launched a direct assault on the palace. Ethan, Kara, Selene, and Elira stood together, a united front against overwhelming odds. Kara led the charge, her combat skill unmatched. Selene coordinated defenses, anticipating enemy movements. Ethan fought with determination, protecting Elira at every turn. And Elira, with her connection to the palace and its inhabitants, guided them all, sensing danger before it arrived. The battle was intense, but the unity and trust they had built proved stronger than fear or chaos. One by one, the faction's leaders were exposed, captured, or forced to retreat. By the end, the palace stood intact, the Queen's authority secure, and the new alliance between humans and Velirans stronger than ever. As silence returned to the palace, Ethan and Elira found a quiet corner. Both were exhausted, yet a sense of accomplishment filled the air. Ethan reached for Elira's hand, and this time she did not pull away. "You were right," he said quietly. This could never have worked without you. Your guidance, your understanding, it made all the difference." Elira's eyes softened. "And you, Ethan, your courage, your willingness to trust, your commitment, it made all the difference for me." Ethan smiled, feeling a warmth he had never known in a world so alien. For the first time since arriving on Velira, he felt a true sense of belonging, not just as a human among aliens, but as a partner, as an ally, as someone who could face the future together with someone he trusted completely. The Queen observed them from a distance, a faint smile on her lips. She had designed the test not just to choose a partner for her people, but to reveal the potential in a human who could rise to meet extraordinary challenges. Ethan had proven himself worthy, not through power or intellect alone, but through judgment, empathy, and the courage to make the right choice. As night fell over Velira, Ethan and Elira stood side by side, looking out over the city. The stars above mirrored the lights below, and for the first time, Ethan understood the true meaning of unity across worlds. Together, they had faced danger, navigated intrigue, and forged a bond that could shape the future. And in that quiet moment, Ethan knew that the choice he had made, the choice to trust Elira, to see beyond appearances and recognize true strength, was the beginning of a journey far greater than either of them could have imagined. A journey where humans and Velirans could stand together, not as separate species, but as allies, partners, and friends. The story of a single choice had transformed into a story of courage, trust, and a bond that would change worlds. And as Ethan and Elira looked out over the glowing city, they knew this was only the beginning. The future was theirs to shape together.